of us are not even aware of how a finance interview takes place, right? Since we are talking about the first round, it's going to be entirely focused on Excel, right? So we're going to also tell you what are the Excel skills which get tested in the interview. Third, you will be able to assess to know where we stand. And fourth is that at the end, we're going to give you a customized report and recommendation on what exactly you need to do so that you get your act together, right? Make sure that you subscribe to the YouTube channel, Mentor Me Careers, because that's where the live class gets conducted. So if you subscribe, then you don't have to really worry about us sending you any WhatsApp message or an email. You will get the notification instantly. So I like to look at finance in a very simple analogy. Just try to hang on and follow me, and you will get the idea of how why these interviews are structured this in, why certain content gets tested, why it does not require you to do a very specific preparation for each and every interview. All right. So finance, try to look at it as either you are an insider or even an outsider. What do I mean by that? So when I say insider, I say that if I am a part of a company and I'm in the management of the company, I'm working in the finance department of the company, then I'm an insider, right? And if by chance I'm not an insider, not working in the finance department of the company, then maybe I'm either a vendor or an outsider. By insider, I mean corporate finance, right? And by outsider, I mean an investor. Right. Now, as an insider, the roles could be FP&A, which means financial planning and analysis, which means that as a part of the company, you are planning on various, finances of the company, which means budgeting, forecasting, deciding the various metrics of how the performance of the company is going to get measured, right? Treasury means managing surplus capital of the company, which I could possibly say is as good as an investment banking position, right? Third is you could be in strategy. Right? Strategy means that you are basically defining how the business moves forward in the future, and you become the advisor to the senior management, right? So these are the three basic roles in corporate finance. Now let's talk about investment finance. So if you're an outsider, if you're not in corporate finance, that means you're not a part of the company internally. So as an external party to the company, you can invest in companies, right? So the roles which could be categorized is research, right? Which means that you would research on various such companies and recommend which companies people can invest into. That's precisely what equity research is, right? Second thing is management of fund. That means you're not just doing research, but you're actually managing or acting on behalf of the owner of the capital, right? And third is back office. Back office means that you're not in front end doing research or taking decisions for the capital, but in fact what you're trying to do is managing support, because there are a lot of support activities which are there as a part of fund management, right? Like fund accounting would be one of the back office operations, right? If you look at this Venn diagram, you'll see that you've got the insider on the one hand, and you've got outsider and investor on the other hand. But in between, both of these people finally require a lot of support services, which is nothing but vendors, right? Now, vendors could be many. Now, this is where KPUs come in picture, because there are a lot of activities of the US companies which get outsourced to India. Now, they get called as vendors. Now, even equity research can fall under vendors if the company in the US is finally outsourcing that activity to India, right? Similarly, there could be investment banking operations, right? So once you put in the trade, the activity does not stop there, right? You have to report, you have to consolidate it, you have to be compliant with the different rules. All that activities fall under vendoring. So all of these activities, you would understand that leaving aside investment banking operations or back office for that matter, everything finally would require you, whether you are an insider or whether an outsider, you need the knowledge of finance. So these are the various areas of testing in a finance interview, right? But of course, we are focused on Excel in this course. So let's go to what gets covered in Excel, right? In Excel, finally, we're talking about data, because the first problem to solve as an analyst is to finally look at data. So that's the reason why data lookup functions become very important, because if you can't fetch data very quickly, it's going to be a challenge, because how are we going to analyze it? Next, important to that, given that you know is referencing, because you're going to be using a lot of formulas to link one value from one sheet from another sheet, and you also need to save time, so you need to know how to use absolute referencing. So that obviously becomes a given. If you don't know this, it's not going to work out. And finally, analysis, which means insights of data. Now that can differ from role to role, but at an entry level finance job, it really doesn't matter, because as long as you know financial statements, the analysis is what they're going to teach you.